let's take a look at this title game as we saw this line open up at 6 with San Diego State being the underdog, which I honestly thought was the correct line. I set mine at a 5.5. So you open up at 6, okay, I can certainly get behind it. Currently, we have seen this line move to 7.5. And Justin, we actually talked about this on my podcast about 24 hours ago as well. I don't foresee, if you like us, like San Diego State, that this line goes down any further. I don't know if this is going to be getting to 8, 8.5 or anything like that. But if you like San Diego State, I don't think you have anything to lose by waiting.
Yeah, no, it feels kind of settled in at this point. Really saw a good amount of movement coming off of that open, a little bit of buying either way, some buyback, which is always nice to see. But I feel like we've kind of settled in on 7, 7.5. Feels like this is around where we will be to the close, but still feels pretty steep to me. We're going to be on San Diego State over at SQ for sure.
Yep, I'm right there with you. I do think that with UConn, they have been a bulldozer here in the NCAA tournament. They've been incredible. But, Tom, I do take a look at this matchup as well, and I think San Diego State matches up better than any of the other 5 teams that UConn has faced in the NCAA tournament. And I do think that the glut of big men and just the overall depth of San Diego State is going to present some problems for UConn.
Yeah, I had the line at 6, so I was right there with you guys. And on paper, San Diego State looks like they match up well, right? They rebound the ball. They defend. They can cause turnovers. That's the kind of the recipe to compete or beat UConn right there. And, I lean taking the Aztecs plus the points, but man, it's this UConn freight train is something right now, isn't it? I know Miami's a different kind of team, but they just steamrolled them. Now, I will say this, the last 2 teams they have beaten, their defensive efficiency is in the 70s and the 90s. San Diego State's is not. They're one of the best defenses in the country. UConn's one of the best defenses in the country. I feel like this is going to be one of those 60-55, 60-57 kind of games, lower scoring, grind it out. I lean taking the 7.5. I think you're getting some value there.
Yep, I think so as well. And Justin, I want to talk to you about this as well because we all saw UConn be able to take apart Miami in the Final Four game, and they win that game by 13, but let's call it what it is. They were leading by as many as 20 throughout many of the portions of the game, but I didn't necessarily associate it with UConn being just a stifling defense. They played good defense, no question about it. It's not like they were just getting completely lucky on every single opportunity, but I attributed that a little bit more to Miami being as cold as an igloo, and if Miami shoots even closer to the average in that game, because I personally laid 5.5 with UConn, I probably would have been in trouble with my bet.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty spot on with that analysis in terms of the luck factor and just what these games have looked like for UConn. 3 of the last 4 games, losing the turnover battle by 5, not taking as many shots or less shots than their opponents, and still winning games. So it's been a little bit of an efficiency head scratcher because obviously UConn's been absolutely destroying it, shooting 50% plus from the floor. It looks really great, but on the other side of it, you have to think about what does an average performance look like. They've definitely been stringing together some of the most efficient shot-making performances we've seen in the entire tournament, no doubt about that. But it's like, is it going to happen again and again and again and again? And is San Diego State going to sort of put themselves in that same position? I feel like, what we saw out of Miami with sort of them, I guess maybe regressing back to their norm is maybe more likely to happen to Connecticut than it is with San Diego State, because Connecticut has really just been a little bit of luck and a little bit of overperforming. While San Diego State, again, look, some defensive luck for them too. Obviously, holding opponents like 17% 3-point shooting wasn't going to happen forever, but that defense should be a little bit more reliable.
And Justin, I want to follow up with that as well because you mentioned the 3-point shooting luck defense of San Diego State, and I very much subscribe to that. 5 of 44 is what Creighton and Alabama shot between the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8. How much of that do you think stabilized in the Final Four? Because Florida Atlantic shot it quite well from 3-point range, and San Diego State still found a way to win that game.
Yeah, I mean, Florida Atlantic came out kind of looking hot, like shooting pretty freely, especially on, that big stage with all those people in that stadium. It didn't really seem to bother anybody, especially with San Diego State letting them kind of get that off-screen action, making sure to hoist up some of those shots from FAU or letting them hoist up some of those shots. But I think that, this is going to be a game where Connecticut will be able to get a lot of what they want, but it's just going to come down to like preventing key second chance opportunities, making sure they limit the Huskies to only a few attempts when they come down the floor, not let them out rebound them on both sides of the ball, and then really hoping to fight over some of the screens that UConn will throw at San Diego State.
And I want to throw this to you as well, Tom, because I take a look at UConn, and in doing my deep dive analysis on this team, I did realize that this is actually a team that relies a little bit more on the three-point shot than most teams. In points that they have scored away from home, they are 37th out of 363 D1 teams in terms of the percentage of their points that they get from three-point range. How much do you think that could be a little bit of a detriment to UConn? Because a lot of the things that UConn does, typically their worst enemy in a lot of these games has honestly been themselves.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think Justin made a good point about UConn losing the turnover battle. To me, that's the hidden key in this game. If San Diego State can get kind of a wash on the boards against UConn's big front line, and if they can create some mistakes with UConn, a team that UConn struggled with a little bit in the Big East was Marquette, who kind of gets out and pressures the ball. Now, San Diego State doesn't cause that many turnovers like Marquette, but they do get out. They're long, they're athletic. I think, to me, that when I looked at this game, that's the key. If San Diego State can create some easy baskets off turnovers, I think they really have a shot here. And the other thing, too, you got to remember is if this game's close with like 5 minutes to go, UConn hadn't played a close game in a long time. San Diego State's been living on the edge here with these buzzer beaters. So I think the pressure goes to UConn if this game's close with about 6 or 7 minutes left.
I agree with you. And just in terms of X factors for the game, I personally am not going to have any player props on this one. But Justin, is there maybe a player or two that isn't one of the top scorers? Because Matt Bradley is that for San Diego State really the lone guy on the team that's averaging double figures. With UConn, we all know the guy who makes things a go-go. That would be Adama Sanogo. I'm going to use that one for as long as I can. We've only got like a few hours left of the college basketball season, but outside of those two guys, who do you think might be an X factor in this game that could decide it to the positive or the negative?
Yeah, I'm going to go maybe not the most obvious answer, but Jadon Ledee has been really a strong force for the San Diego State team. And of course, Mensa's defense is going to probably be on display if San Diego State has any chance. I like Ledee to probably get more points than people are expecting. He's had, I believe, over 10 possessions in each of the last 3 games, including 15 in the FAU game. So if he's getting 15 possessions in this one, and I think his number's set around 7.5 on the points, I like that as a potential prop if you're looking for point scorers. And then I'm just excited to see how Mensa matches up, 2-time defensive player of the year out of the Mountain West. It's going to be really important to see how he plays down low with some of the bigs for UConn.
Yep, and we've got about a minute left, Tom. Is there a player or two that you're looking at in this game that you feel like could be a big-time X factor?
Yeah, I think Darion Trammell for me at San Diego State. He's had a couple good games in this tournament. His scoring props at 9.5, which is right, I think. But to me, I think he could be the X factor for the Aztecs. The guards, the Aztec guards, have to win this game for them, with UConn being so big down low and have dominated teams so far in the tournament. So I like Trammell's over 9.5 points, and I think if he has a good game, San Diego State can cover and pull the upset.
Visit VSiN.com to get current odds, listen for free, find showtimes, and download VSiN sports betting podcasts.